John Less here of Less Archery Adventures. Serious testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing a head I'd never even heard about that Juan Benitez, a viewer, sent me a pack of. Thank you, Juan. I really appreciate it. And it's called the Water Buffalo. Okay, Water Buffalo broadheads made out of Canada. And they look really cool, a lot like the bone broadheads, if you remember those. Short arch design, pretty cool looking single bevel. And I'll go into the design features and specifications in a bit. But I'm going to be using my protocol for 2024 to put this head to the test. I have a consistent system of testing for all the broadheads that I do and a consistent system of scoring. So please watch the video, if you haven't already, that I posted earlier this year called 2024 Broadhead Test Process, and it'll just walk you through why I do the tests that I do, how I quantify them, how I come up with the scoring, and so forth and so on. For all the shooting, I'm using my Elite Era compound bow that is just an incredible bow, and also for the flight testing, I'm using this Killer Instinct SWAT X1 crossbow because it's just so accurate and eliminates so much human error. And for all the testing, I'm using my Elite Era compound bow for most of the shooting, just loving that bow. For the flight testing, I'm using my Killer Instinct SWAT X1 crossbow because it eliminates so much human error. For all the arrows, I'm using Bishop Archery arrows and bolts because of their extremely high specifications and tolerances. So let's zoom on in here, check out this Water Buffalo, and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at this Water Buffalo broadhead. Man, this is a cool looking head right here. It looks like the old bone broadheads. It's similar in that curved design. So let's start with the materials. It's machined out of a Caldie steel. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. C-A-L-D-I-E, a Caldie steel, which is supposedly superior to an S7. It's a really high-grade tool steel with some great qualities to it. And it comes out at a 59 on the Rockwell hardness scale. So really nice quality steel and really nice hardness to it. In terms of the thickness, it's advertised as 0.060 inches thick. By my measurement, it was actually greater than that, 0.063 inches thick. It's rare that they're actually thicker than what they advertise. The cutting diameter is 1.1 inches and the length is 1.06 inches. So it's almost as wide as it is long like that. I really like that. It's got this curved design to aid in its slicing, its penetrating ability. And you see it's got a bit of a flare going up the back here. It's not sharpened that way, but it just is cut that way to give it a little less surface area and aid in flight as well as in penetration. Now, the bevel is really interesting. It's got a gradual bevel to it. It starts at a 50-degree bevel in the tip to just give it a really durable bone-splitting tip, and then it flares out to a 35-degree bevel at the widest point. So that's really interesting. That's just to aid in slicing. So hard impact, and then the slicing with this more gradual bevel. Really interesting. Now they also come with a box. Each one comes in its own little box, and you can pull it apart, and it actually turns into a holder that you can use for sharpening it. So it's kind of nice. It comes in its own box that, is reusable. You can take out into the field, protects the edge, as well as becomes a holder and sharpening because you don't want to get cut by this edge. It is pretty sharp there. Now for resharpening, I would imagine the Stay Sharp Guide C Guide would work best on this. However, I've not tried it with that gradual bevel. That's just their sharpener that's used for any curved blades. So I would imagine that's best, but you got to check with Stay Sharp Guide just to confirm that before you go ahead and get one. Really excited to put this head to the test and see how it performs. The Water Buffalo got the 8 ring. I was pretty surprised about that, and I shot it, I think, 5 or 6 different times, and this was actually the best that I got. That doesn't mean you can't tune it well to shoot out of a compound bow, but it does just show the flight compared to the field point out of the crossbow. It took 232 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is an 8.68 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated 8.5 inches, which is a 9.44 on a 10-point scale. It took an additional 147 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 7.06 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 52 layers, which is a 7.43 on a 10-point scale. And just a reminder to note, compared to a lot of the mechanicals that have a long, narrow tip that penetrates through the last 10 layers or so, this one cuts right away. And so you'd expect it to have a bit less penetration. It's in perfect condition after the 3 shots through the MDF. The paint starts to rub off a bit, but that's a non-issue. And after 2 shots through the steel plate, the head is still in pristine condition. You can see some markings on it and rubs on it, but the blades are just in absolutely perfect condition and still feel relatively sharp. And you can also see the holes that are made there. They're just nice S-cut holes from a good single bevel. It rotated 15 degrees at 13 inches. This broadhead held up extremely well with all the durability tests, the MDF, the steel plate, the concrete, and you can see how deeply it cut into the concrete. Man, I mean, it made a nice cut in that cinder block and still looks really good, except for like the cosmetic, this green getting rubbed off and stuff and some concrete fuse to it. But structurally and everything else about it, really excellent durability. So what'd you think? Man, I tell you, it's a cool looking broadhead. And, the greatest strength of this head, undoubtedly, was its durability. Man, it just got a perfect score in durability. In the other scores, it did okay. Like, it wasn't bad. It did okay. And so you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in those areas that matter to you the most, based on your bow and arrow setup, the animal you're pursuing, and so forth and so on, and see if it might be a really good fit for you. And stay tuned for the overall cumulative score, as well as the corresponding Lusk grade. And also stay tuned at the end for a slide showing all the discount codes that I have, just to pass on some savings to you. I want to give a reward for watching these videos, and I figured that's one of the best ways to do it. And I also update that list in each video description throughout the year. I can't change what I put in the video, but I can change what I put in the description. So I have an alphabetized list of all the discount codes for broadheads and other related gear in the video description. But hey, thank you for sending me these heads, and thank you everybody for joining me and listening to me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.